Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Bryan Ardis, and this is a special podcast of the Dr. Ardis Show. Actually, March 25th of every year is called Medal of Honor Day in recognition of the incredible achievements of multiple people in each of the branches of our military. The Medal of Honor is actually the highest award that anybody can receive in any of the 4 or 5 military branches, and it's awarded by the President of the United States and in behalf of the name of Congress. So this is a big deal, March 25th. This PowerPoint presentation and podcast is called a tribute and a warning to the military. And we're going to do this because of the fact that it's almost Medal of Honor Day. This is March of 2026 when we're filming this. So please follow along. If you are a veteran, I salute you and thank you for all that you have done and what you've done for this country. And I am going to share with you a warning. I salute all of you. Thank you for preserving our rights and freedoms here. It's pretty disgusting. I know you guys know the quotes by Henry Kissinger, who used to be the national security advisor to Richard Nixon. But he said all military personnel are animals, dumb, stupid animals that are being used for foreign policy. And that is not how I feel. That's not how I see you. And I respect your love and passion and pride for this country. Thank you for preserving our freedoms and rights here as you do. And in that respect, though, many of them are actually treated like experimental animals with vaccine agendas. And so we're going to be diving into some of the things I want to present to you as a warning and as hope of how it is you can articulate in the military with your superiors, those who have been chosen, as you're going to read here in just a second, I'm going to show you, who are subject experts in the world of vaccines. By the way, that's what they call them. Military people injecting all the kids and adults in the military with vaccines. I'm going to provide you some health antidotes you don't need vaccines for. And I'm going to show you what are some of the published lies in the military about vaccines, immunizations, and what are required. I'm also going to show you what are the 2 types of vaccine exemptions that are approved for the military, how they're coded. And this document we found, which I'm very excited to show you some highlights of, you can download yourself. You can also download this entire PowerPoint at the resources tab of the drardisshow.com. Download it for free, send it to anybody you want. I'm going to be walking you through a PowerPoint presentation. And like I do with all podcasts that I do, this is again a tribute and a warning for all military personnel in honor of Medal of Honor Day, March 25th. All right, so let's dive in. This is our title slide. We are going to be diving in here to everything related to this topic. Scan the QR code if you are not familiar with the Dr. Ardis Show or you're new here. Welcome if you are. Scan the QR code unless you're driving and put in your email, and we will notify you simply each week of our new podcast that I've produced, that we have created, diving into various specific health topics, current, long-term, chronic, you name it. National Medal of Honor Day, March 25th. Just wanted to bring that to your awareness. This is a document I've recently found and decided to dissect. It is called the Immunization Toolkit, 9th edition, 2019. This is the most up-to-date. This is the adult, military, and childhood immunizations put together by what's called the DHA IHD, Defense Health Agency Immunization Healthcare Division. You will see that acronym here as we go through this. The mission of this group is developing and promoting programs and services that enhance immunization effectiveness, safety, and acceptability for the military and their families, and to provide evidence-based solutions that improve vaccination healthcare through policy implementation, guidance, strategic communication, education, training, and clinical services worldwide. The vision of this group and this document is a premier, responsive, patient-centered, I like a patient-centered organization promoting excellence in immunization healthcare practice, as if healthcare is dictated by vaccines, and policy for service members and their beneficiaries. It is imperative, they say, to be mindful that vaccines are prescription drugs The ITK, the immunization toolkit, is neither a substitute for pre-vaccination screening nor provider assessment and should be used as an adjunct to Department of Defense policy, an adjunct to or added addition to manufacturer package inserts, CDC recommendations, and FDA publications. The DHA IHD is appreciative of your dedication towards preventative medicine and public health efforts towards a medically ready and ready medical force. This is accredited to Tanya S. Rands, MD, Colonel, United States Air Force, Medical Corps Chief, Immunization Health Care Division. Can't believe they have a whole dedicated division. Where's the nutritional supplement division? That's what I'm looking for. I signed up for that one. I would like to be a part of the nutritional supplement dietary division of healthcare for the military. No, I'm not joking. I'd like that. All right. Anybody in the know, hook me up. There's way more to health than vaccines, people. All right. Assessment of individual vaccine benefits and risk is the responsibility of a licensed credential healthcare provider. Remember, assessment of the individual vaccine benefits and risk is the responsible of a licensed credentialed healthcare provider, which I guess the military has some. Because in the next paragraph, the DHA IHD clinical staff are immunization subject matter experts. Wow, I didn't know that. Providing timely consultative support to healthcare workers, service members, and beneficiaries on vaccine effectiveness, safety, and acceptability. I would like anybody in the military, currently active, retired, going to the VA. I don't care. If you're a parent of a military, current active soldier, I would like you to ask them, to ask their DHA IHD clinical staff any question about any of the vaccines. First off, tell them to ask their subject matter experts, as I quote from this document. Ask them any of the vaccines, name 3 ingredients in any of them, and you're going to watch just how inept and inadequate and ignorant they are on the topics that they are supposedly subject matter experts in. All right, so in this document, adult and military immunizations, the schedule, the page numbers, they list these out in alphabetical order. They're going to be discussing adenoviruses, which are common cold viruses, vaccines, anthrax vaccines, cholera vaccines, hepatitis A, B, and the combination hepatitis A and B vaccines, the Hib vaccine, which is the Haemophilus influenza type B, human papilloma virus, which is for ovarian cancer and penis cancer in the future, which does not work, injectable influenza, intranasal influenza vaccines, just sniff the vaccine, Japanese encephalitis, measles, mumps, rubella, meningococcal A, C, W, Y, and B forms, meningitis, pneumococcal conjugate, pneumococcal polysaccharide, those are your pneumonia ones, polio virus, rabies virus, smallpox vaccine, TD, tetanus and diphtheria, Tdap, tetanus and diphtheria, toxoid, and pertussis, typhoid vaccines, varicella, which is chickenpox, yellow fever, and shingles. These are your military recommended vaccines. Now, in this document, they want you to know, and I want you to know, if your loved one or yourself goes to boot camp, gets one of the 16 injections in 1 hour, which they often do to these people, it's ridiculous. I want y'all to know that in the document for the military, they have made sure it's very clear that you know where you can report your vaccine injuries. Now, this should shock you. There's 3 things I'm going to highlight here. And let's see if you come to the same realization I do. You've all been told your whole life, including me, and for my children, every pediatrician has told me, every vaccine is safe and effective. Safe, first word, safe and effective. 100% of them, safe and effective. None of them are not safe. None of them are not effective. They are all safe and effective. All right, so first thing you need to know is they give you this additional resource. Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System called VAERS, how you report a vaccine injury in the military. So right off the bat, you know they're not all safe and effective because some must cause injuries that lead to them having to tell you where you can report these to the government. Then they want you to know that there's what's called the National Vaccine Injury Compensation Program. They give you the address for that, the web address. And then it says this is a federal program that provides compensation money for people who have been injured through rare but serious adverse events linked to certain vaccines. Notice they don't tell you which ones those are. And by the way, if all vaccines were safe and effective, as we've all been brainwashed to believe, why would anybody be compensated for injuries to them if they are all safe? Just know there's money out there waiting for you federally. And then there's what's called the Countermeasures Injury Compensation Program. This is the Public Readiness and Emergency Preparedness Act, called the PrEP Act, provides compensation to people for serious injuries or deaths from pandemic, epidemic, or security countermeasures. Stay with me here. How many of you have a loved one or you yourself are in the military during any period of the COVID-19 pandemic and were told, in order to continue providing service and getting paid to be in our military, you have to get a COVID-19 vaccine as a security countermeasure? And how many of you know the stories of young military personnel who died from complications of those supposed vaccines? And have they been awarded money? And were they told there's a countermeasures injury compensation program laid out for military and their beneficiaries? If you know anybody who has been injured, died, got blood clots, I don't know, lost their hands, toes, whatever, to the blood clotting effects of COVID, paralyzed, injured, had to retire from the military even though they loved it, forced to retire because of injuries, diseases, seizures, convulsions, whatever. You can seek compensation. This is how you do it, through the CICP. I did not even know this existed until we started dissecting this report. The Countermeasures Injury Compensation Program manages the compensation program. Vaccines such as anthrax, smallpox, and the 2009 novel H1N1 are eligible countermeasures under this program. Time for you to find out if it's related to COVID-19, because they include pandemic countermeasures. Now let's dive farther into this. This is because I love all of you military personnel. Thank you for all of your love, pride for this country, and thank you for giving me and my family a safe place to raise my children and live. This is a section inside the same document titled Vaccines and Their Untrue Contraindications and Precautions, adapted from the CDC. Okay. All right. You got to stay with me here. They're going to go through every vaccine they recommend for military personnel and their families and beneficiaries, but they are so brazen to have a section titled Vaccines and Their Untrue Contraindications. So let me just lay the groundwork here. If any of you have gotten a vaccine ever, or have a disease ever, heart disease, neurological disease, I don't care, and you know that you've been told by some other healthcare provider that you, because of those issues or previous experiences with a previous vaccine or a drug inside any of those vaccines, it is contraindicated that you should not get that vaccine in the future again. If you believe that, enter the military and challenge anybody saying you need to get this vaccine. And you know, you've been told throughout your life that you don't have to get this vaccine because you've had previous injuries or you have a current disease that is not a good idea to get this vaccine. And it is published. The military is so brazen to put this in here that there are the vaccines and their untrue contraindications and precautions. I want to highlight for you what the military is going to tell you are not true contraindications. And if you look at the parentheses under table 4.2 above at the top, it reads, vaccines may be given under these conditions. Even though the CDC, the FDA, the manufacturer of the vaccines might tell you, or your doctor might have told you, you should never get the flu vaccine ever again, or the DTaP vaccine, or the Hib vaccine, or the HPV vaccine, because of Guillain-Barré syndrome, seizures, polio-like symptoms, paralyzation, you name it. Myocarditis. The military says they know better. All right, so let's just dive in. I'm not going to read all of these to you. This document we provide for free. You can go download it at the Dr. Ardis Show at the resources tab. This whole thing that I'm about to show you. We're just going to highlight what they're telling you are untrue contraindications. These are not true contraindications. Do not tell us that you have these problems that exempt you from getting a vaccine in the military. These are untrue contraindications and warnings called precautions. A contraindication is if you've ever had this problem, you should not get this vaccine. They're telling you those are untrue claims. So let's highlight just the DTaP vaccine. And You see it in red. I boxed it here. The one above that is a whole bunch of vaccines and their contraindications. No. We're going to go into the individual one. First one listed individually is the DTaP. That's diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis, whooping cough. Okay. I want to highlight the first one they say in the titled section, vaccines and their untrue contraindications. It says here, if you've had seizures within 3 days after receiving a previous DTaP vaccine, they're telling you here, if you had a seizure less than 3 days after getting a previous one, that is not a true contraindication to getting another one. That's what they're telling you. Well, is that true? I will show you here in just a second. The military is telling you that is untrue. Get the shot anyway, damn it. You're in the military now. All right. I'm going to highlight the second one out of the group. They tell you this is also an untrue contraindication. Don't tell us you don't have to get this vaccine because you've had these issues before. No, you get them anyway. Which goes back to my Henry Kissinger thing. These people are lying to you. So how do they really view you? He called y'all dumb, stupid animals used for foreign policy. Okay, well, I don't think you're that way. But you would do that if you saw people this way. You would do this to them, what they're telling you on this sheet. If you have stable neurological conditions, cerebral palsy, well-controlled seizures, or developmental delay. I just want y'all to know, neurological conditions also include Parkinson's, MS, autism, you name it. These are all those things, right? Okay. They're telling you those are untrue contraindications. Okay, confirmed by the CDC, adapted by the CDC. So the CDC is telling the military, those aren't real contraindications. Do not listen to these people when they tell you that. You inject them anyway. All right, so let's take you to the FDA's documents. This is the package insert created by a DTaP vaccine manufacturer. In fact, its name is Daptacel, DAPTACEL. You'll see it there on the screen. Where did I get this form? From the FDA's website. At the bottom, you can see it, www.fda.gov/media and the number. That's where you go get this document. This is made by the manufacturer of a DTaP vaccine. There's multiple of them. I know. You may not know. There's multiple of them. This one's brand name is Daptacel. Okay. On this form from the FDA, there's a section 4 on all package inserts is contraindications, when you should never give this vaccine to a person, even in the military. Yet, the military document says, these are not real contraindications. Inject them anyway. All right. So I'm going to highlight 4.2 and 4.3 only because I only highlighted 2 on the document from the military. 4.2 is encephalopathy, swelling of the brain. Okay. Encephalopathy examples are having a coma, decreased level of consciousness, prolonged seizures within 7 days of a previous dose of a pertussis containing vaccine, that those seizures, comas and stuff is not attributable to any other thing other than the vaccine, is a, I quote, is a contraindication to administration of any pertussis containing vaccine, including Daptacel. This is the FDA. All right. Stay with me here. The other document from the military says these are untrue contraindications. If someone had a seizure less than 3 days after getting a previous DTaP vaccine that includes pertussis, they're saying that is not true. Give them the damn shot anyway. The FDA and the package insert of the manufacturer actually state is a contraindication. Any seizures within 7 days of a vaccine with pertussis is a contraindication. You should not give this vaccine to them. Okay. So what did the CDC tell the military? These are untrue? No. This is dumb. All right. 4.3. The second one I highlighted on the military document was neurological disorders. Well, here you go. Progressive neurological disorders. Progressive neurological disorders, including infantile spasms, uncontrolled epilepsy, uncontrolled seizures, or progressive encephalopathy, which you read above, is a contraindication to administration of any pertussis-containing vaccine, including Daptacel. Pertussis vaccines should not, I repeat, pertussis vaccines should not, I quote, be administered to individuals with such conditions until a treatment regimen has been established and the condition has stabilized. Why does that read so different than the military document, which at the top says these are vaccines and they're untrue contraindications? And I highlight the second arrow is vaccines may be given under these conditions anyway. Just give it to them anyway. Look at the bottom again. I think this is how the military is getting away with lying to you. The actual contraindications by the FDA's own documents and package inserts by the manufacturers of DTaP vaccines actually reads, if you've ever had any seizures within 7 days of getting a pertussis-containing vaccine like DTaP, it is contraindicated to get it. On here, they wrote seizures within 3 days is not a true contraindication. Yeah, because it's less than a week, actually, which also includes less than 3 days. You see how they're playing that? And then notice the second one reads stable neurological conditions. Well, what does the actual document say? Progressive neurological disorder. This is how they're getting away with it. If you have any stable or progressing neurological disorder, you should not get a pertussis-containing vaccine. This is how they're lying to you. Now, they've published the same lies for every vaccine on the list. I'm just highlighting DTaP, okay? But this is all of the untrue contraindications to all the vaccines. And if you want to go to the FDA's website and look up the package insert of every one of these vaccines, you will see that they are lying to you. They are actually contraindications. And they are warnings. They are real contraindications. These are all real, not untrue, real contraindications confirmed by the FDA and the package insert by those that make the vaccines. And then the precautions are warnings. Warnings are like if you have a fever, you have infection, if you're pregnant, you need to take a second and think about the risk to benefit ratio before you get these vaccines. And all of these are true on all those package inserts. I'm not going to read all these, but they give you what are the untrue contraindications, which are actually the true contraindications. Man, this pissed me off when I was reading this. I was like, oh my God, the military thinks they know better than the drug makers of the vaccine and the FDA? That's absurd. Unless they see you as experimental lab rats, they can just inject you with anything they want, which I know a lot of people feel they are. There's the human papillomavirus, influenza viruses, live attenuated influenza viruses, MMR, PPSV, rotavirus vaccines, and their untrue contraindications. Tdap, which is the same as DTaP, except tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis is the order they name them. Varicella, which is chickenpox. Herpes zoster, which is is shingles. All right, now let's dive into the rest of this. Remember, y'all can go dive into the package inserts all you want and find out what is really true contraindications and warnings and what isn't. Does that bother you? Like it bothers me? Adverse events following immunizations. This is in the military document. What can I use to learn about the risk and benefits of the vaccines I'm to receive? Hold up. I thought they were all safe and effective. Only safe and effective. Well, here you go. Military tells you in this document. The CDC provides fact sheets called vaccine information sheets, abbreviated VIS, which describe the benefits and risks of the vaccines you're going to receive in the military. The Department of Defense provides brochures on 2 of them, anthrax and smallpox. It is highly encouraged that you review the VIS from the CDC in detail and ask questions about the vaccines you are going to receive before you receive the vaccines. How many of you were actually vocally told in boot camp or in your military or at the VA that there are documents you should read from the CDC or the Department of Defense before we give you these vaccines? Were any of you told to go read these? Because it's in their documents that you should receive these documents, read those documents, understand the risk and benefits before you let us inject you with these things. Ask them for the VIS. If you haven't read those, tell your superior officer who's telling you got to get the vaccine now that you need more time to go review the VIS sheets from the CDC. Or if it's smallpox and anthrax, you need to go read the documents and brochures from the Department of Defense first. Pause. I haven't read the documents yet that you told me I should read first. It's in our immunization toolkit, 9th edition. Oh, wait. Even further, do vaccines have side effects? Vaccines are prescription drugs, like all drugs. In case any of you out there are like, they're all safe. The military wouldn't inject my kid with all those vaccines so they weren't all great for them. Oh, no. Vaccines, read it, can cause side effects. Examples of common side effects include soreness, redness, swelling, at the injection site or mild fever. Although these mild symptoms don't need to be treated, they state you can reduce aches, pains, and fever with acetaminophen, Tylenol, ibuprofen, or aspirin-like medications. I would not do acetaminophen if you haven't been staying abreast on the MAHA movement information on Tylenol, acetaminophen. Now they get to severe side effects. Severe side effects, although uncommon, may occur with any vaccine. Any vaccine. They know serious side effects, including death, can occur with any vaccine that is told to you is safe and effective. These more serious side effects are also called adverse events following immunization, abbreviated AEFI. And here, just so you know, is a list underneath the same category in the document titled, "What are vaccine exemptions?" All military personnel, pay attention. I don't care how young or old you are. Per the military's own documents, there are two kinds of vaccine exemptions, reasons for not receiving a vaccine, that are called administrative and medical. And I just want to highlight for you here, these are the medical exemptions and the codes your superior officer will note in your file that allows you to be exempt from getting the vaccines. These are the medical exemptions to them. I'm not going to go through them, but you know they're there. I hope you now know you have exemption rights. And the second is called administrative exemptions from vaccinations. And here are the codes. Here are the reasons at which any officer superior to you can actually put in your file, you are not required to get these vaccines. Isn't this great to know? I love this document. Now, when you get to the adult military immunizations, they actually tell you, the DHA IHD division, they tell you what your schedule for vaccines in the military are. And this is the vaccine schedule. And they outline it for those 19 to 26 years old, those 27 to 49, those 50 to 64, and those older than 65 years old. So if you're ever wondering, am I being told by my military personnel, my primary care doctor, my children's doctor here on the base, if I'm being told that vaccines are right for me now, you can look at the list and see, is my age group actually recommended by the CDC, by the military to get them? I wanted to share these with you. This is table 2. This actually is denoting when you shouldn't give these vaccines based on precautions. And this is in the same document. You'll see the table. Pregnancy, immunocompromised, HIV infections, angioedema, end-stage kidney failure, heart or lung conditions, diabetes, healthcare personnel. It's all broken down for you. So it's interesting to tell you these contradictions and precautions are untrue, but they actually share with you the actual schedule that even outlines the schedule for those conditions where you should question or not get the vaccine at all. Now, this is table D1 in the same document, and they break this down. What vaccines are required for each branch of the military, all 5 of them. So I'm not going to read them all. This is for you to download if you want to go dive into this any further. The name of the vaccines are on the left. The second column is Army. Third column is the Navy. Fourth column is the Air Force. Fifth column is Marine Corps. The sixth column is Coast Guard. And you'll see at the bottom right, we have the notes that they have there, the abbreviations for these vaccines. Are they routine? Are they upon entry? You'll see that for the military. All right, now it's time to dive into what Dr. Ardis recommends to keep the military healthy. This is my gift to you. So there was your warnings. Now here's my gifts. Nigella sativa oil, known as black seed oil, which is the second ingredient by volume in our biodefense product. You guys are defending this nation. Biodefense should be in every one of your travel bags, medical bags. You should have biodefense, 100% of you. And I'm going to show you why. All right, so Nigella sativa oil as a natural remedy against viruses. The majority of the vaccines you see on that list in this document from the military are viruses. Polio, MMR, they're all viruses. Influenza, they're all viruses. The majority of them are viruses. This is black cumin seed oil as a natural remedy against all viruses. So let's read some of the highlights here. Everyone in the military is told every year you got to get a flu shot, even when you retire, every year until you die. Influenza viruses belong to the Orthomyxoviridae family. This family can be subgrouped into influenza A, influenza B, and influenza C. Several studies tested the effect of Nigella sativa oil, which is black cumin seed oil, on subtypes H9N2 and H5N2 against avian influenza viruses, which are called bird flu, and found active inhibition of the virus replication. They found enhanced immune response and the suppression of the viral disease toxicity in poultry. In a 2019 study, again in a 2013 study, and again in the 2016 study, two in which were in 2016, and then again in a 2015 study. The study by Saeed Umar in 2015 suggested that clinical signs in H9N2 infected birds, bird flu, showed improvement upon dietary supplementation with either Nigella sativa oil seeds or their extract, or the combination of the two. The study also reported a decline in clinical symptoms upon supplementation with 3% Nigella sativa oil seed. The antibody titer, the antibodies produced when we gave them Nigella sativa oil, was also increased against the avian bird flu, avian influenza virus, AIV, thereby improving immune response, and it suppressed viral replication and disease process called pathogenicity in the treated turkeys better than the 1% dietary supplementation. So they gave 1% Nigella sativa oil and 3% Nigella sativa oil. 3% was much better. Subsequent studies after this confirmed this dose-dependent effect, as a higher antibodies in the body of the animals was observed with a 6% Nigella sativa oil supplement compared to the 1% and 3%. These findings suggest that turkeys, not humans, but turkeys, you're going to see the human reference here in just a second because it works for turkeys, rabbits, mice, rats, and humans. Nigella sativa has already been proven in all of them to do this. These findings suggest that turkeys fed Nigella sativa oil exhibited higher levels of cytokine gene expression, leading to increased antiviral behavior and suppressed pathogenesis of avian influenza viruses. Avian influenza viruses, subtype H5N1, which is the bird flu they've been talking about recently, has previously been reported to be treated with Nigella sativa extract, black cumin seed oil. Ethanol extract of Nigella sativa showed moderate dose-dependent antiviral activity and prevented the replication in the animals of bird flu, which is an influenza virus. Another study found that Nigella sativa oil, when used as a vaccine adjuvant put into vaccines against bird flu, H5N1, can exhibit a non-specific immunostimulatory, it just boosts the immune system against all viruses, not just the bird flu, effect and induced cellular immune response that restricts the replication of avian influenza virus. So anybody in the military, if they tell you, you got to take a bird flu vaccine, no, you don't. Ask them and tell them that Nigella sativa oil will be right for you. In conclusion, the use of natural extracts and derivatives in disease prevention and cure has been on the increase globally due to their high tolerance and low side effects. Nigella sativa is a well-known plant used in folk medicine for many decades now. It is considered a miracle herb due to its effectiveness in managing several disease conditions. This review focused on reviewing most of the published studies on the antiviral effects, all viruses, of Nigella sativa, especially those that demonstrate the antiviral activity of Nigella sativa and its bioactive compounds against the different plant, animal, and human viruses. You're a human. Most military personnel are humans. Now, if we go to the ASM journals, the Antimicrobial Agents and Chemotherapy journal, this is another product we have at the Dr. Ardis Show that I released during COVID called calcium EDTA. This is, now just so y'all know, we showed you the pneumococcal 2 vaccines in the military for pneumonia. This research study is the efficacy of calcium EDTA as an inhibitor for metallolactamase in a mouse model of Pseudomonas aeruginosa pneumonia, the bacteria that causes pneumonia. Watch this. Calcium EDTA is used intravenously, injected into the veins. We tell you to swallow it because it's just as effective. But I want y'all to know medically, they have done this in studies, research studies. They injected the EDTA and the dose is 1,000 to 1,500 milligrams per milliliter squared per day. or up to 75 milligrams per every 2.2 pounds of body weight for 5 days only. It can be administered continuously or in 2 to 4 divided doses throughout the day. EDTA. The major potential toxicity with EDTA is they're telling you the worst outcomes for EDTA if you take too much can be kidney toxicity, brain toxicity, and lower levels of calcium. In this study, we evaluated the efficacy of calcium EDTA as an inhibitor of the bacteria metalloenzymes, such as MBL and other forms of proteases in a mouse model of pneumonia. To assess the protease blocking activity of EDTA in a live model, the mice model, bacterial culture supernatant-induced acute lung injury was employed. They had to induce pneumonia. So they literally forced into the nose and airways and lungs of these mice the bacteria that causes bacterial pneumonia. That's what the supernatant-induced acute lung injury was. They had to do that to do this research. 60 mice were used for this experiment and were divided into 3 groups. 30 microliters of the supernatants, the bacteria, was intratracheally inoculated into each mouse. So they injected the bacteria through the trachea. One group was administered control medium in place of the supernatants. The other 2 groups received 100 milligrams per kilogram of EDTA or salt water twice a day subcutaneously, and survival was monitored for 5 days. Check this out. 5 days. What was the effects of calcium EDTA on the survival rate of the bacterial pneumonia mice? The control mice, those who did not get EDTA, no EDTA. The control mice started to die at 24 hours from this pneumonia, and all mice died between 72 and 84 hours after they were given the bacteria in the trachea into their lungs to create pneumonia. The effects of combining calcium EDTA were striking. 100% survival was achieved for this group, regardless of the route of administration of the EDTA. We could do it intranasally, we could do it injected, it didn't matter, they still lived. Consistent with the survival data, the bacterial burden that causes pneumonia was significantly reduced for the combination of IPM and EDTA. Amazing. IPM treatment alone did not induce a significant reduction of bacterial numbers in the lungs, so they used a drug in combination. It did not reduce the bacterial numbers. In contrast, the simultaneous administration of EDTA at both 50 milligrams and 100 milligrams for every 2.2 pounds of body weight significantly enhanced the clearance of the organisms, the bacteria causing pneumonia, from the lungs. The reduction in the bacterial burden was more than 1 log when the mice were treated with 100 milligrams of EDTA. The higher the amount, the more bacteria were cleared from the lungs. Importantly, we have observed almost the same survival benefits of calcium EDTA with both intranasal, inhaling EDTA, and subcutaneous administrations. Finally, our results indicate that EDTA also suppressed the protease activity of the bacteria that causes pneumonia, and these effects may be associated with the protection of the cells in your lungs called alveolar cells, in vitro, and improvement of survival in the culture drug-induced, bacteria-induced pneumonia rats. To quote together, the present data suggests an application of EDTA for certain types of infectious disease. In a pneumonia model with pneumonia caused by an IMP producing strain, IPM and calcium EDTA co-therapy resulted in drastic improvement of the survival rate and reduction of lung bacterial burdens. Additionally, both intranasal and subcutaneous administrations of EDTA produced similar effects, which suggested a good penetration of the compound into the lungs. These data consistently demonstrate the possibility of EDTA for clinical applications. EDTA should be used by medical doctors in practice or on military bases. Now let's dive into the antiviral activity of the oseltamivir and lemon balm, which is called Melissa officinalis. And this is a study from 2016 against avian influenza A virus. This goes for all influenzas, doesn't matter. And all of you are being told you need to be vaccinated for those every year. For the first time in this research study, researchers demonstrate that lemon balm, essential oil ingredients, inhibit avian influenza virus. Growth and mechanism of action of Melissa officinalis essential oil, which is what MOEO stands for, which we highlighted at the bottom, against avian influenza virus was evaluated at different steps of the influenza virus replication cycle. So they wanted to know, before we give them the avian influenza virus to a cell, we're going to pre-treat it with lemon balm, Melissa officinalis, essential oil. We're going to infect the cell with bird flu. Then we're going to use Melissa officinalis. We're going to see if pre and post treatment doesn't have any difference. Interestingly, the data suggested that Melissa officinalis essential oil, lemon balm, acts as an antiviral in different steps of avian influenza virus replication cycle. Based on the real-time PCR test findings, the virus genome copy number was reduced significantly when the MDCK cells were treated by the cells they were infecting with the bird flu, treated by this essential oil of lemon balm, before inoculation of the AIV bird flu to the cells. So that was in the pre-infection stage, meaning it's a prophylactic. You can take lemon balm early, and if you're taking it and then get exposed to avian influenza virus or bird flus, you won't get it. Look at what they tell you. Therefore, it can prevent the binding of the virus particle to your cells in your body. That's already been proven. According to the post-infection stage, so we infect the cells, then we're going to introduce lemon balm, Melissa officinalis. Findings of the Melissa officinalis essential oil 1 hour after the cell was infected by avian influenza virus, the virus titration replication was reduced. Also, the results of the PCR test exhibited a significant reduction in the amount of viral copy numbers at different concentrations of Melissa officinalis compared to the control group, and it appears to interfere with the intracellular inside the cell step of the virus replication. It didn't matter if they used lemon balm, Melissa officinalis essential oil, 1 hour after they infected the cells, it still stopped the virus from causing disease. If they pre-treated the cells with Melissa officinalis essential oil, lemon balm, before they infected the animals or cells, it still prevented the infection. Extracts of Melissa officinalis have been reported to inhibit protein biosynthesis, all viruses are proteins, in a cell-free system from rat liver cells. And it was suggested that this effect may be due to its caffeic acid-like components. And if you guys know what that means, exciting. If you don't know what that means, go look it up. This is how viruses replicate. According to the findings of simultaneous stages when AIV bird flu was incubated with Melissa officinalis for 1 hour, and then the mixture was inoculated to the cells with AIV, these Melissa officinalis ingredients showed an antiviral activity against the bird flu. It appeared the bird flu was affected by the Melissa officinalis lemon balm before absorption. Inhibition of viral propagation was not performed throughout the hemagglutinin A inhibition, and it suggests other mechanisms of how it works, such as structural damage to the virus itself. That's what lemon balm does, can be responsible for the direct antiviral activity of the Melissa officinalis essential oil. Now, I just want you all to know, herpes simplex virus, hepatitis C virus, HIV virus have all been proven to be improved by Melissa officinalis and lemon balm, or to be blocked, stopped, destroyed, killed, prevented. It's very antiviral. Herpes simplex virus, cold sores, fever, blisters, lemon balm. Oh my God, it's one of the greatest things ever. Based on the results of this research, it can be concluded that different ingredients in this plant, Melissa officinalis, known as lemon balm, may exhibit distinct antiviral mechanisms of action against influenza viruses, not just the bird flu viruses, your influenza viruses, the 29 different families you're vaccinated for every year, military and outside the military, starting at 6 months old in America. Typical reduction in viral infectivity was observed when herpes simplex virus 1, fever, blisters, cold sores, HSV2, genital warts, and other viruses were treated with lemon balm oil prior to the infection. Thus, a high antiviral activity, probably due to the direct drug-to-virus interaction, was detected. And they linked the research study. Moreover, liquid extracts of lemon balm, as well as phenolic compounds, plant compounds, drastically affect the infectivity of herpes simplex virus 1, cold sore, fever, blisters, only at the early stage of virus replication. In conclusion, lemon balm essential oil ingredient seems to act as a natural and novel antiviral substance through the different stages of influenza virus replication. Also, avian influenza viruses, bird flu, was suppressed with Melissa officinalis before cell infection with the direct drug to virus interaction. And after, we showed you that too. Now, if that wasn't cool enough, wait till you see this. This is going to be the last research study I'm going to go through. This was published in 2020. The use of copper to help prevent transmission of SARS coronavirus and influenza viruses. This is going to blow your mind. It blew my mind. A prospective observational pilot study in 2020 by Zerbib and his team in a nursing home for older adults was the setting, and they studied the antimicrobial properties of copper. Flu caused by influenza A, gastroenteritis, stomach flu by norovirus, and keratoconjunctivitis, pink eye, by unidentified pathogens, were the outbreaks occurring in the nursing home during the study period. The outbreaks of the keratoconjunctivitis, the pink eye, and stomach flu were significantly lower in the copper-equipped areas. The relative risk of hand-transmitted healthcare-associated infections, healthcare workers making the nursing home attendees sick, was significantly lower in the copper-equipped surface areas. This indicates that copper reduces the incidence of infection. Hold on, this gets better, because they're going to test infections, bacteria and viruses on stainless steel surfaces, on copper surfaces, and then they're going to show, just wait till you see the very end of this. It's going to blow you away. Wait till you see what copper supplemented does to HIV virus. Just watch. If it does that to HIV, nobody in the military should be worried about any other virus ever. Watch this. Most of the research about the use of copper or copper alloy is related to the influenza virus. Noyce and his team in 2007 studied the effect of copper over influenza viruses. 20 micrograms per liter of virus particles was inoculated into copper or stainless steel. About 500,000 virus particles remained infectious after 24 hours of being incubated, those virus particles on stainless steel. 24 hours, there were still 500,000 infectious viral particles at the end of 24 hours. On the other hand, after only 6 hours on copper incubation, only 500 particles remained viable. What? 500,000 viral particles on stainless steel after 24 hours within 6 hours on a copper plate? Only 500 total particles. Wonder what would have happened if they'd ran it for 24 hours like the stainless steel study. Miyamoto in 1998 in a laboratory model demonstrated that copper chelates inhibits apoptosis of the influenza virus, and such effect is independent of the influenza type. Doesn't matter what influenza you have. Copper works to stop influenza. Additionally, copper chelates inhibited viruses released during apoptosis. So the replication and spinoff of more viruses is stopped by copper. Minoshima in 2016 compared the effect of solid state and soluble ionic copper that can be in water, and silver compounds against influenza A, and bacteriophages, bacteria that cause disease. Solid states of cuprous oxide inactivates influenza A virus and bacteriophage, bacteria replicating. Amazing. These two things, hemagglutinin and neuroaminidases, they bind with the host cell and allow the release of viruses. These proteins are expressed by 100 on the surface of the virus envelope. Copper decreased the hemagglutinin titer below the detection limit within 30 minutes. They couldn't even find it. Detected on their DNA lab testing microscopes, they couldn't find any of them after 30 minutes. And the neuroaminidases activity was significantly reduced just after 10 minutes, just from copper. And then Image and their team in 2012 studied the effects of cotton textiles, wearing a cotton shirt or pants. Okay, watch this. This is awesome. They studied the effect of cotton textiles containing copper over a highly pathogenic H5N1 bird flu and the low pathogenic H5N3 viruses. Titers of H5N1, the bird flu they're talking about right now in the media, decreased, and they tell you how much, after 30 minutes. incubated on the textile, on the shirts, on the clothes. Philomori examined the antiviral properties of nano-sized, really, really small copper, which is what's in our bioactive copper at the Dr. Ardis Show, in aqueous solution against influenza A virus, H1N1. Virus titers decreased depending on the concentration dose from 0 to 1,000 micrograms per milliliter of copper, resulting in a 50% effective concentration dose at 17 micrograms per milliliter after just 1 hour of exposure. They went from 0 to 1,000. They found at 17 micrograms per milliliter within 1 hour, you could decrease by 50% all the viral titers of influenza A. Few but conclusive studies have focused on the antiviral properties of copper against coronaviruses. Wait. Did you hear anybody but me talking about copper during COVID? Me and Morley Robbins. All you heard about was zinc. No one talked about copper, but I'm going to show you what it is we knew about copper. Few but conclusive studies have focused on the antiviral properties of copper against coronaviruses. This is important because every military personnel, their families are going to be told they need a COVID-19 vaccine every year they're in the military from here on out. No, you don't. Hahn and his team in 2005 studied the effect of metal catalyst of copper against SARS-CoV-1, baculovirus, and E. coli bacteria. After 5 minutes of exposure to copper, the infectivity of all three, including SARS-CoV-1, dropped down to undetectable levels in 5 minutes. There ain't no vaccine that's going to do that. Borkov, this is even more significant. Borkow and his team in 2010 developed a face mask impregnated with copper oxide. Picture the COVID mask. They put copper in it and tested its antiviral effects against influenza A, H1N1, and the bird flu H9N2. Above 99% of all aerosolized viruses were filtered by both the control mask and the mask that had copper in it. This is just pushing air with the viruses through the mask. The filters did work. They grabbed them. The cotton grabbed them, blocked them. And the copper blocked them also. But watch this. This is amazing. Nevertheless, after 30 minutes of simulated breathing through the mask, they then wanted to measure how much viral particles are showing up on the mask through your breathing. How much are you breathing out? This TCID 50 was recovered from control masks. Those who did not have copper on the mask, they could swab the inside of the mask, anybody simulating breathing for 30 minutes, and they found all of the AIV, look, avian influenza virus and H1N1 influenza A viruses were found thriving on the inside of the masks after 30 minutes. Watch this, though. Read along with me. Sing along with me. Shout along with me. No infectious influenza, bird flu, or influenza A was found on copper oxide containing masks. That means even if it wasn't in your lungs and you breathed it out, when it landed on the actual mask that had copper in it, the copper destroyed the viruses on the mask. Maybe next pandemic we need copper-infused masks. And I guarantee anybody watching this who has a mask-making company, you should probably come out with them. Or Dr. Ardis is with the Dr. Ardis Show in the future. Then this same researcher a year later, Barkow and his team in 2011 used powdered copper of about 18 micrometers worth to inactivate HIV in 5 minutes. And following a mathematical model, after they figured out at 18 micrometers they could actually of copper, they could inactivate HIV to stop making you sick with HIV in 5 minutes. They ran a mathematical model and they want to know, well, I wonder what the smallest size of copper we could use, how fast it would stop the replication of HIV. Read with me. Following a mathematical model, Barco in 2011 estimated that using nanoparticles of about 1 micrometer size would reduce the time to inhibit HIV to only 14 seconds. AZT for HIV will never do that. Copper nanoparticles have since then been preliminary tested against HIV. Since Barkow in 2011 published, we think if you could shrink down copper, it will even do it faster. And he estimated at 14 seconds. Read along. Copper nanoparticles have been preliminarily tested against HIV, and as predicted by Barkow, the needed time to inactivate the virus was about 15 seconds. Love you, military. There are a lot of solutions for you that are not vaccine oriented. In conclusion, this discussion on copper for influenza viruses and HIV, a variety of respiratory pathogenic agents such as influenza, SARS-CoV-2, MERS, CoV-1, and HCOV have been exposed to a variety of copper forms, having similar results and arriving at the same conclusion. Copper is capable to inhibit, inactivate, reduce, and irreversibly destroy coronaviruses, influenza viruses, and other pathogenic agents in a matter of minutes. Ask your superior officer if copper is right for you. And when they find it in your hiding underneath your pillow on your bed, my bioactive copper at the Dr. Ardis Show, you can now explain to why. There's no vaccine on earth that prevents viral replications like coronaviruses, influenza viruses in minutes. But copper, I read again, in conclusion, medical research studies, peer-reviewed and published, copper is capable to inhibit, inactivate, reduce, and irreversibly destroy coronaviruses, influenza viruses, and other pathogenic agents, including HIV, in minutes. I told y'all that was the last one. It's not, because I can't ignore nicotine. So this is a research study from 2012 titled, well, the research journal is the International Journal of Applied Science and Research. I hope you're still interested. You haven't lost interest. This is exciting. Phytochemical, plant chemical properties, drug activities, and ethnomedicinal uses of nicotine tobacco. They're reviewing Nicotiana tabacum, which is the most common tobacco plant on earth. Read along. This is very short. In review, equally revealed that nicotine from the tobacco plant exhibits a number of pharmacological activities applicable to the constituent phytochemicals, plant chemicals. The most important biological activities of tobacco, including nicotine, include antimicrobial, antibacterial, meaning you don't need an antibiotic. Tobacco and nicotine are antibacterial. Antifungal, you don't need diflucan or other prescriptions for fungal infections. Tobacco does it. Read the next one. Tobacco and nicotine are antiviral. Amen. Nicotine and tobacco are antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, anti-parasitic, called antihelminthic. Helminths are the large parasite tapeworms. Tobacco and nicotine cure you of tapeworms. Cytotoxic and anti-cancer. Tobacco and nicotine. Wow. Anti-arthritic. You want to prevent arthritis. Tobacco and nicotine does it. Anti-Alzheimer's. Central nervous system supportive. Peripheral nervous system supported. Cardiovascular activities. They improve the cardiovascular function. Yeah, it does. Nicotine tobacco has equally been shown to have a lot of medicinal applications, which are also attributable to the plant chemicals of the plant, called phytochemicals. It is claimed, tobacco and nicotine, it is claimed to be used in the treatment of a diversity of human diseases, including skin conditions, bronchitis, inflammation, ulcers, rheumatoid arthritis or rheumatisms, painful piles, worms, wounds, dysmenorrhea, vomiting and diarrhea, abdominal discomfort, cures constipation, corrects and cures dermatitis, rashes, hydrocele, gout, lumbago, headaches, kidney disease, cough, seizures, convulsions, and so on. That concludes the research studies. What an amazing, just short list of supplements, nutrients, plants, minerals that are proven to be antiviral for you military personnel and your families. This is biodefense. The Nigella sativa oil you'll see there is top primary ingredient that we include in the biodefense. And we just showed you its benefit. Published. Here's EDTA for influenzas, bird flu. EDTA destroys viruses. It's actually the only thing published to completely destroy them until you get to copper. Here's our EDTA. Here's our foreign protein cleanse. We highlighted Melissa officinalis called lemon balm and copper. They're combined in our foreign protein cleanse. All viruses are foreign proteins to your body. This is why this product is called Foreign Protein Cleanse. For those of you who are lovers of Mike Adams and the Health Ranger, he says this is his favorite supplement. He puts it every day inside of his green drinks. When we do our podcast and interviews with him, he's always drinking it and talking about how much he loves Foreign Protein Cleanse and gets it every single day. This is for nicotine lovers. Tolavita is the only brand of patches I know that actually uses all natural tobacco extract as their source of nicotine on the patches. They also have a combination of 6 other plants, anise oil, star anise oil, clove oil, and others, orange peel, you name it, are all in the patch. They have a 3 milligram, 7 milligram, 14 and 21 milligrams. Because of all of my presentations around the world, they have a 3 milligram patch, and here it is. Little round blue cloth patches. This is all natural plant extracts. I'm wearing one right now. I wear one every day. If you see at the top, if you use the code Ardis, if you go to tolavita.com and buy it there, you put in my name, it'll give you a percentage off discount on all of these already cheaper than all of the brand nicotine patches. And yes, if you're in the military, you could easily wear this under your uniforms. I'm Dr. Ardis. I hope this was helpful. This is my tribute to the military, the Medal of Honor. This is our book. Everybody in the military should have this book, because I just showed you in this document that there are compensation plans for military personnel who are injured from security countermeasures during pandemics and epidemics. There are currently 10 new pandemics declared. That will be the next one by Gavi, which is Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation sponsored vaccine initiative. Go to their website, Gavi's website. You'll see the 10 named viral pandemics already named. They are very much fortune tellers over there. Seers, prophet, revelators. They know what viruses are coming next. So if you want to know what's going to come up, all the lessons you should have learned during COVID-19, this first ever global announced pandemic, you should know what they did. You should know what they know, and you should know the published antidotes. And many of them I shared today are also in this book, including EDTA, biodefense, the foreign protein cleanse. I walk you through why those are so essential for everybody with long COVID, vaccine injuries to COVID. It's all in my Amazon best-selling book, Moving Beyond the COVID-19 Lies. That, by the way, a year and a half later, and as of the recording, this recording is #1 in pulmonary medicine category on Amazon. And yes, I dive into all those lung conditions in the book. It's very exciting, though. I'm Dr. Bryan Ardis. This is the National Medal of Honor Day, March 25th of each year. God bless the military, the veterans, their families. We love you. Thank you for all of your tireless, relentless sacrifice on our behalf. God bless you. We love you. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time on the Dr. Ardis Show. Thanks for watching this week's episode. Visit thedrardisshow.com/follow for my official social media channels and free healing resources. Beware of fraud accounts. Neither I nor my company will ever ask you for money, crypto, or personal information through your social media or DMs. Like this video and share with a friend. And if you're not already, subscribe and follow along so you don't miss any updates from me, the only real Dr. Bryan Ardis. And remember, nature always wins.